Hey, Chicago, what do you say? It's the CHGO Cubs Podcast. It's still cold here in the Windy City. Luke Stuckmeyer, Ryan Herrera, Cody Delmendo, and Sarah running the ones and twos. Hello to everybody in live YouTube chat. I see 10 thumbs ups already. I see a lot of people waiting for us. Some people suggesting that we might be late. Classic CHGO Cubs by a minute or two. 1 minute.
Shout out to Cassie in the chat. I met her in Denver when I went out there in September.
Hey, Cassie.
And she says in the chat that she's finally made it to a live show for the first time. So
you know what today is?
Wednesday.
4 weeks until pitchers and catchers report in Arizona. 4 weeks to sign Cody Bellinger. They've got.
Well, I
say 2 weeks or less.
They got more than 4 weeks. They'll go into spring training.
They're not. You think they're going to go all the way to?
Oh, yeah.
It's going to go all the way to maybe a Dexter Fowler deal?
I'm saying if it does, if he holds out till spring training, they won't make a deadline.
Well, they won't cut it off. No. I just don't think it'll go that long.
Maybe it might not.
The sooner the better, because I'm tired of doing like different scenarios in my Twitter spaces I've been doing all offseason, where we're going through the scenario of if the Cubs sign Cody Bellinger or if they don't sign Cody Bellinger. I just want to know if Cody Bellinger is going to be on this team or not. The team will be better with Cody Bellinger on it, in my very biased opinion. But I don't want to have to think about this team without Cody Bellinger on it.
What day's the Super Bowl? I think it's before the Super Bowl. I said 2 weeks.
So.
I really think before February. But
February 11th will be the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
so
it's always like the first
I definitely
weekend.
think it's before the Super Bowl.
Okay.
Anyways, so we're still waiting on Belly. We've got some Nico Hoerner disrespect to talk about. We've got the international signing from this week to talk about a little bit. And we continue our Cubs conversations from Cubs Convention. Today we'll be talking with Jordan Wicks, who I like to call the Wild Thing because of the glasses a little bit. Reminds me of the Wild Thing. He was fun. We should say this before every one of them. The guys that we talked to, what did we talk to? 5 guys total?
Mm-hmm.
Every one of them, some of the players you might say, well, this guy's not my favorite player, or this guy's not a big enough name. I'll tell you this. The 5 guys we talked to, you can all get behind them as, man, these seem like really nice guys. There wasn't a guy that came in with an attitude or what am I doing this podcast or any, like, all very nice guys. I do think the Cubs roster is full of nice guys. I don't know what that gets you, but it's better than rooting for a team with a bunch of jerks.
Remember last year how they really promoted having the good guys?
They do.
Yeah.
They do have a lot of good guys.
Yeah, I don't think that they lied about that, that's for sure. And I think you feel that on social media. I think you feel that in post-game interviews that they've done with Ryan and the rest of the media. Yeah, I mean, it's cool. However, I wouldn't mind a John Lackey type in this clubhouse or a Jon Lester type in this clubhouse, right? Some guys got to stand up and be that guy.
Right.
So I don't know who that guy's going to be. Maybe it's Dansby. Maybe it is him. He prides himself on being like the leader. Yeah. Maybe he's that guy, even though he just comes off like the nicest dude. Has great hair, looks great.
You may not need John Lackey type. Like I think there's ways to be that veteran leader like Dansby, like when they had Jason Hayward around, like his words held a lot of weight, even if he wasn't playing great baseball. Like his words held a lot of weight. Guys like Kyle Hendricks and Dansby Swanson. Like there's guys in there whose words hold a lot of weight without having to be John Lackey-esque, you know. So I mean, but I will say about this clubhouse, and you kind of touched on it, like you can tell the type of person this front office targets, and you know, you don't want to just pass up on a great player just because they might not be the most friendly guy to the media. But you could tell they've targeted guys and have created a group that gel well together, seem to all really like each other, seem to like being around each other. And when you're building that foundation for a winning culture, winning ball club, like having a group, like having that group of guys that enjoy being around each other and enjoy playing with and for each other is like the first step on that. And like, again, you know, if a really, really good player comes available and he may not just be the most friendly, likable guy, you're not going to pass on him just because of that. But starting with trying to build this culture the right way, I think the Cubs have gone about doing that the right way.
And that said, and I'm not trying to stir our entire show, but a lot of this is why I'm very much against signing Trevor Bauer.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, you don't want Trevor Bauer.
Well, I say this because people have asked in the chat.
Shane's going to get mad.
People have asked about him in the chat all offseason, and we haven't talked about it. And all I can say is that he wouldn't be good in the clubhouse, and also no other team is out there rushing to get him too. So I'm very much against it. And honestly, it's not even all just because of the off the field stuff. It has everything to do with everything before the off the field stuff. Again, I'm all about bringing someone here to be a little bit more hard-nosed, like a Jon Lester, like a John Lackey type. But I just don't think Trevor Bauer would mix well in this clubhouse.
Alex thinks I might have to go to the bathroom. Listen, I'm no Mark Carmen. I have never left a show to go potty.
Credit to you.
And this is hot tea, not coffee.
Yeah.
Speaking of nice guys.
Sorry for pissing off the people related to Trevor Bauer.
Yeah, it's okay. Speaking of nice guys, we know Nico Hoerner is one of those nice guys, right?
Yeah.
He's also a very good second baseman. MLB Network this time of year likes to put out their lists, and we like to comment on them because they're fun. They're top 10 at each position, right? So they do an MLB Network top 10, and they also put it out there and let people vote in a fan vote top 10 at each position. The disrespect from the fan bases around America to leave Nico Hoerner off as one of the top second basemen, not even in the top 10 in Major League Baseball, that's disrespectful. That's disrespectful. I know he doesn't hit a lot of home runs. What don't you like about him as a baseball player? Now, I look at their list and I say, Mookie Betts, okay, check mark.
Sure.
Jose Altuve, check mark. Marcus Semien, probably check mark. Ozzie Albies, check mark. Even Luis Arias, check mark. But after that, 6 through 10, you can't tell me you can't find room for Nico Hoerner in there?
I think that Bryson Stott, Ketel Marte, and Ha-Seong Kim belong in there. But then you see Gleyber Torres and Matt McClain. Matt McClain, using the Rookie of the Year chase for the Reds last year, great. But Gleyber Torres isn't. Are you telling? I think Nico Hoerner's better than Gleyber Torres at the very least. If you ask me who I would take out of there, I would take Gleyber Torres out there and put Nico Hoerner in there.
Well, this is sort of what I was kind of saying earlier in the season, or earlier in the offseason. I don't remember exactly when we were talking about Nico, and I was just kind of comparing him to the two second base all-stars last year, and Ozzie Albies and Luis Arias. And you know what? He wasn't the hitter that they were, but he was by far a better defender. Finished with higher WAR. Like, he's every much on par with those guys, and in his own way, as far as where he's at in like second base ranking. So like
where's he in F4 or WAR for second baseman?
Last year he was the top.
7?
He was like almost 5, I think. Yeah, he was the top.
So how could he not be in the top 10?
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to say is like he's very much up there, and like this is a fan vote, so I don't know.
I know
the fans don't know ball, brother.
Have a clue.
Did they?
Is that just Cardinal fans pounding the?
But they didn't even vote for their own guy.
I didn't know they had internet.
Maybe they did it. Maybe they did it over the weekend when all the Cubs fans were at Cubs convention and weren't going rushing the polls, so to speak, to vote for Hoerner. I don't know, but like
Hebert, I agree. Should be 5 or 6.
You look at the
6
numbers.
or 7 at the worst.
Yeah, he should totally be on there, and definitely not at 10. I think he should be higher than that too.
I'll be interested to see where the network's list is at, right? When MLB Network puts it out. Yeah. If MLB Network puts it out and he's not in the top 10, we're calling Plezak and saying, what's going on over there?
Legitimate.
Yeah, like what's going on?
And he'll get a full dose
or Sierra,
of what I'm
like, listen, you two need to be picketing outside your office.
Yeah.
Because that would be offensive.
Right. Yeah, no.
I think
this is a fan vote. So again, the fans
vote.
don't know ball. The fans who voted for this don't know ball. But out of the guys that are out of that list, I don't know if I can put him top 5, but he's definitely in the top 10. Because they did all of baseball. Now, you want to just do National League, I think you can argue him perhaps being in that top 5. But in all baseball, he's definitely top 10 second baseman in all baseball.
A lot of
Way
people
better
saying
than Gleyber
Altuve's a
Torres.
cheater.
I'm sorry, man.
Altuve the cheater.
Yeah.
Altuve's the one that does drive me crazy because I look at Nico and I look at Altuve and I say, I don't understand. I don't understand
How's
the
he so
physics.
small and hits homers?
That's right. That's my thing.
Yeah.
Why can't Nico hit? I don't understand it.
He also plays
I
with
know
the
it's about the
Crawford
swing.
boxes. Those Crawford boxes help
I
him
know,
too.
but like I just,
At Houston.
if Altuve can hit him, why can't other? It's not like Nico's tiny.
You can argue that Nico is bigger than Jose Altuve.
Oh yeah, I think so.
Yeah. I don't know. Again, I do think the fact that the Crawford boxes are there for
I don't
Houston
understand the
helps him.
metrics of it.
I
but
don't either.
That's not my thing. No, nobody
Barb,
can
it's not a
understand
sock
the
shirt. It's a CHGO shirt. Just so you know.
Listen, one thing I know,
This is every
fans might
time I wear
know
the shirt.
not know ball, but Barb knows ball.
Barb knows ball.
We decided that yesterday. Barb knows ball.
You decided that.
I decided that. Boy, everybody give Barb a break today.
No.
Barb's here.
I gave Barb a break yesterday. I didn't yell at her. Credit to me.
I think she was scared of you.
She was.
She was afraid.
There was
that
a
you
comment she left in there. I got to go back and screenshot it because I want to add it to my folder of funny Barb comments on my MacBook. But
She was afraid you might get mad and start throwing weights around the gym. Something like that. Yeah.
That happened once at the Bears.
But this one that Sarah has on
our
our screen right now from 2 days ago, the one that says, "I'm glad Cody is no longer angry. It's scary when he's angry, like looking at the devil himself." It was one of the funniest.
At the devil himself.
It's one of the funniest comments I've ever read in the YouTube chat. Honestly, I honestly want to frame it and like put it on like my wall or next to my nightstand or something.
Now, Sarah or
On the
somebody, we
nightstand.
need a little Photoshop, a picture of Cody with horns, a pitchfork, horns, and like a sharp tail
It'll be in the
coming
works. It'll happen.
But
yes,
Nico should be a top 10. When they put out their own list, Nico should easily be in the top 10 of second basemen around the league right now.
I agree.
I think he's earned that. I think, again, defensively, we've talked about, like, I think he has more offensive potential in there, but the fact that he was nearly a 5-WAR player with closer to average stats than not, I think you look at him, he should be up there on that list for sure.
Well, he's definitely one.
Oh, yeah,
you
Sarah-
wanna-
Sick guy over here.
It's never gone.
To go with that too, has to be if he's not in general top 5 or top 5 second baseman, or even top 10. He's definitely top 2, top 3 defensive second baseman in all baseball.
Oh, yeah,
as
for
well.
sure.
So, whatever. The fans don't know ball. That's my decision.
Cody could stop a charging elephant is today's Barb's quote. Hey, what did you think of the signing of Fernando Cruz, $4 million signing bonus, 17-year-old Dominican shortstop? It's like 80% of their bonus pool the Cubs used on this kid. The fun fact is, we didn't talk about him the other day when it happened. Fun fact is that he's Starlin Castro's cousin.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
So far, my favorite part of the Fernando Cruz era was when our fearless leader, Jake Flanagan, came out and talked to me and you about him and was talking about the one video that's on the internet of him swinging.
You can Google it.
And he was like, I'm seeing Mike Trout in this.
Yeah, and I was like, well, it's just a soft toss BP in the Dominican.
Yeah. He's like, I see so much Mike Trout in this. I'm like, brother, don't let me talk myself into it.
He's not even like a Cubs guy, Jake, right?
Yeah.
But he's
he's not even really a Cubs guy.
He looked at it and he was like, well, I see Mike Trout. That's Mike Trout.
Yeah. On a more
He
serious...
said Mike Trout mixed with Ian Happ, I believe, was the comparison.
Oh, yeah.
It was a
Because of the
combo.
follow-through or whatever, right? Overall, I mean, the Cubs they've been getting like some of the top international prospects. I mean, Christian Hernandez was the last one. I know he struggled in Myrtle Beach last year, but he's still so young. There's still some I haven't given up on him. We haven't talked about him a lot lately because he really did struggle in Myrtle Beach last year. But, it just seems like every year they're getting someone that's one of the top international prospects. And, we'll find out in 5 years because they're all teenagers.
Yeah.
Right?
Do you like the philosophy, though? That's more what I'm curious about. Like you said, we have no idea if a 17-year-old is going to be worth giving $4 million, but it's not my money anyway. So, but if you have 5.1 million roughly in your bonus pool to give out for an international player, would you rather have them go like 80% in on Fernando Cruz, who, by the way, one of the cooler names. It sounds like he's a star. But Fernando Cruz, would you rather have him give it all to one guy, or would you rather him sprinkle $1 million around and try and get a bunch of guys?
Probably the one guy. The one guy.
I do. I think make up your mind which one you think it is and go all in.
Because, and it's not just the specific set of international, it's just any prospect, especially when you're drafting them at such a young age. It's kind of a crapshoot. Like, you don't know who's going to develop the right way. You don't know who injuries may hit in the years leading up to it, like while they're developing. You don't know what these guys are going to be because they're so young, and though they have, upside and potential and stuff like that, you just never know what the next 6-ish plus years are going to be for them. So I think if you see one guy you really, really like that you think had a lot of potential, it just makes more sense to go out and get that guy and fill out the rest of the international signings with whoever you can get versus trying to spray it around and hope a bunch of different guys hit. I think for me, I'd rather go after a guy, give more of the money to a guy that we really, really believe in versus trying to sprinkle it around.
And someone in the chat said something about having too many shortstops or whatever.
He
says Cubs are the best at finding international shortstop prospects. The problem is you can't have 11 shortstops on your team. Well, the thing is like you can trade them for
not even that. You can move them anywhere.
Or move them around because they're athletes.
Yeah,
right?
That's the more. I think that's the more thing you want to be. That's more of the reason why you want to be just signing a bunch of shortstops because you can move them basically anywhere.
Yeah,
he just turned 17 in like November, so. How many guys in Major League Baseball were the shortstop on their high school team? Probably quite a few.
Right.
He probably won't.
Because the best guy on the team usually ends up over at short at some point.
I mean, he probably won't be in low A until
in 5 years. Who knows
what
this roster looks like? Shit.
2030.
Maybe it opens just up for him.
Maybe 2030. Fernando Cruz, get on board.
I'm going to be almost 40, bro. Eek. I don't want to think about that.
Yeah. I know. I was looking at this, and it was the specific rules for guys who can sign in this signing period. Mm-hmm. The player has to be born between September 1st, 2006 and August 31st, 2007. That makes me feel old. And I'm not even old. I'm 27, and that makes me feel old.
I was in high school.
I was in middle school.
Wow. What was the year?
September 1st, 2006 through August 31st, 2007.
I was in first grade.
Sarah was in first.
Come on, Sarah.
Stucky was already with Comcast Sportsnet.
Oh yeah, years. I was already a couple years in.
Yeah. So again,
I was starting contract number 2.
Yeah,
that's wild.
So yeah.
Look forward to watch him go through the system. He'd probably be in rookie ball next year, right? I'd assume.
So, if they bring him stateside,
if they even bring him stateside.
He could stay out in the Dominican League, but I mean, depending. I would say, like I said, he probably wouldn't be in like even low A for another couple of years at least before they have him going through like those levels. So it got some time to see him what he can actually do as he starts.
It's gotten easier.
His journey,
It's gotten easier to be able to check into like minor league baseball, like AAA, AA, even like low A and high A. But like, if you're a real baseball nerd and a real like prospect guru, like, how if I was so intrigued, like, how would I even be able to watch any of Fernando Cruz in the Dominican or like in the even lower levels? Like, I feel like there isn't a easy way to be able to do that. Am I wrong on that? Like, I think I would be a little bit more excited about it if I just knew that, I can go to this website and watch it and see what he is, right? Like,
somebody in the
I
chat
literally
said
have a video. All I have is a video of him swinging, the one that Jake
Mike
told us.
Trout-esque.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Somebody in the crew said they've seen him play. Dustin says, saw a ton of Cruz during the summer last season. Kid is legit. Should be stateside by 2025, possibly in South Bend by end of 2025, if not early 2026.
So that's kind of where I said like
credit
couple
to Dustin.
Years.
I've only seen the video that and all I thought was Mike Trout.
Basically, Dustin agrees with me.
Yeah.
It's nice to be agreed with for once because didn't get that a whole lot during the season.
Hey, today is Wednesday, which means Wild Thought Wednesday. I saw somebody saying bring back Soler. He's still out there. Jorge Soler.
Who'd you see say
I don't
that?
remember. There's just graphics up on the internet.
Graphics?
Yeah,
it's just the internet. People
I can't
talking?
tell you if it's a real thing or not a real thing anymore. It's just it was on the internets. And
On the net.
I saw Soler and I thought, okay, let's make it our Wild Thought Wednesday. Who's up for Jorge Soler back in a Cubs uniform? I'm all for it. I just don't think it's necessary to spend that type of money when you have Morel, when you have Wisdom, when you have Canario potentially.
I mean, I think that's it.
They do need power.
Unless you're planning on,
more proven
shipping.
Oh, yeah, he's more proven power than anybody there.
Unless you're planning on shipping out Morel, which I don't know if the Cubs could be in the works. Who knows? But as for what the roster stands at right now, yeah, he gives you a lot of power. We know that. We've seen it. But the fit, I mean, he would be DH only, pretty much, especially on this team, unless injuries were to happen. So, yeah, how much do you want to invest on your DH only guy when you do have a guy like Morel who's cheaper, cost controlled for a few more years? We know the offensive potential. So, yeah, he's again. We've seen the power.
36 taters last year.
Yeah, and he had how many the year before? The year before that, like he
hit,
since he's been gone.
I think
he's been
28
hitting.
or something like that the year before. But 2 years ago, it was the
Like
49. I
40-something,
think.
right?
I think he almost hit 50.
He hit 48 in 2019 with the
2019.
Royals.
He strikes out and he hits home
Yeah.
runs.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, like I said, he would.
Struck out
he would
178
be-
times that season.
He'd add power to the team. There's no question about that. But you might see a lot
yeah.
less Christopher Morel.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it would take opportunities away from Morel unless Morel can stick at a position in the field, which is what we talked about the other day. Like, it just hasn't happened yet. So
Right.
you'd definitely be taking away opportunities for Morel to play every day. And again, like, I think if you're the Cubs, you're probably looking at you'd rather have the cost-controlled, young, developing player who has had already pretty good success at the major league level. I think you'd rather go that route than going out and sign Morel or Soler.
Alex wants to know if I'm still making I like my taters mashed Mervis. They're on hold right now. They're still being printed.
Yeah.
They're still being printed.
Actually
not being printed. They're still on hold.
Soler was pretty solid last year outside of the homers, and he walked almost 12% of his plate appearances. Strikeout rate actually went down significantly compared to 2022. His weight runs created was 26% above league average. You know, but he is DH or bust. Like, that's it.
Yeah.
If he doesn't hit, then you're gonna get absolutely nothing out of him. And in 2022, he really wasn't that good. So he's gonna be entering his age 32 season, which, you know, there's still a lot left in there, I'm sure. I also am wondering, would he even want to come back to the Cubs? Just because when I think of Jorge Soler at the Cubs, I'm like, I just think about April and how this guy just could
Wrapped
not
up,
stand being here.
Wrapped up like the kid from Christmas Story, walking like.
So personally, I don't necessarily think it's like a wild thought. Like, it, in some aspects, makes sense. The team needs more power, but he's a right-handed bat.
If he was left-handed, I would change my mind.
Yeah, if he was left-handed, I'd be a little bit more into it.
Oh yeah,
just to add more depth, I guess. But like Barb said, they have Morel and Bush, and they're cheaper and they're younger, and there's a lot more upside with that. So I mean, this is a move. This is a signing that I could see them doing if they did trade Christopher Morel.
a follow-up move.
Yeah,
I think
if they trade Christopher Morel and some prospects to Cleveland or Seattle or wherever,
Miami.
the Marlins, then I could see the Cubs being more interested in a guy like Soler to fill the role that Morel had.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I think, and I would agree that if you were to trade Morel, it would make Soler much more of a realistic option for roster fit wise. But the way it's set up right now, it doesn't feel like they would add a Soler without making another move that probably would include Morel.
All right, two friends of the show have ideas. Jake Manowski says, convinced Morel's still going to be part of a trade. Maybe the Class A talks. JD Martinez brings steady power and contact the DH. I'm okay. I'm okay.
I said JD Martinez a couple weeks ago.
And Mike Tubbs says, hear me out. What if we trade for Luis Arise, play him at third? Is that good enough for Wild Thought Wednesday? That is. What are you trading to get him?
Yeah.
What are you trading to get him?
Yeah, this is
also, like,
a guy who
isn't Luis Arise more of a singles hitter too? Like, you need more power at third base. Like, if you put Luis Arias at third, it's like, okay, maybe a better version of Nick Madrigal. Like, I'm not into Luis Arias personally. He hits, but it's not like he's.
I mean, he's a guy that pushed for 400 for a very long time. I don't think it was last season, was it? Was it the year before?
For the position that he plays.
For
the position that he plays, he brings a lot of value. But we're talking about third base right now, so I'm not into it.
Gary says Morel for Luzardo.
Yeah.
Wild Thought Wednesday. I saw that Ron had one suggesting that if they sign, I believe, Belly, that we should have a pizza party with Wayne's Pizza.
Oh.
Okay.
You have to talk to Mike Talkman about that.
I pick him up. I don't know if I keep him warm long enough.
Was related to Morel for Luzardo, like Gary's bringing up. Did you guys see my tweets related to trading Morel to Cleveland?
I did. You just got more and more insane, right?
That
was the goal?
Okay. What
Okay.
was your deal? What was your Wild Thought Wednesday?
It started with Morel and James Triantos and Alexander Canario
look 'em up.
for Emmanuel Clase and Jose Ramirez.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
And I'll just go through it. Then
Seems
after
like,
that,
seems like they
Sarah
might
got
want
him on the
even
screen.
more.
okay.
They might
Then
want even more than that.
It's on my page. Okay, you're on my page.
All right, you're
It's right there, Sarah. Yes. Credit to
you
you. And then after everyone's like, yes, absolutely. No one would do this. They wouldn't do this, but yes. I was like, okay, I feel like I need to add more.
Okay.
And scroll up a little bit, Sarah.
And so
Scroll
you
up.
so you
Scroll
added
up,
Illini
down.
basketball.
There you go.
There you go.
Traded Illini.
right
You got
up.
show more replies. Hit the show more replies.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
Technology.
Scroll down.
Always
There you go.
wanted
Then,
to
so
scroll
then
through
I added
Cody's
Kevin
mentions.
Alcantara with Morel, Triantos, Alexander Canario for Jose Ramirez and Emmanuel Clase. And everyone still said that this isn't enough.
Oh, here,
so
I see
then
deep
I was
breath,
like,
I see, yeah.
Then I was like, okay, Morel, Ben Brown, Kevin Alcantara, James Triantos, and Alexander Canario for Jose Ramirez and Emmanuel Clase. And I think a little bit more people were starting to disagree. But
Now you're throwing in Nico?
but there were still like no, like that the Guardians still would say no. So then it was the
say no
same
or say
thing.
yes?
So then the very last one was all those same guys with Nico Hoerner, and then I started to get some no's.
Right.
So it was like, it was a wild thought. Like, listen, I still think you only trade Morel if you're getting a star player in return. I think some people think, like, the reason that I started with Morel and Triantos and Canario for Ramirez and Clase was maybe I value Morel more than a lot of people, or I think there's a lot of value there. But also it's like I'm thinking about the Guardians and the way that they operate, the way that they think. And it's like Ramirez on the wrong side of 30. He's been great. He was a 5-WAR player last year. He's still producing. Class A, we talked about a little bit last year or a little bit yesterday. Like, he kind of wasn't the best last year, but he's still young and he's on a great deal. And you're
giving up Nico now too.
Right. Well, again, this is why I started with just those three guys, Morel, Triantos, and Canario, because it's like, I'm thinking about the Guardians and how they operate, and they don't want to pay anyone. So that's the reason it started like that. Then I started adding more people. I'm sorry, I'm not going to trade Horton or PCA in that deal, and that's probably to maybe not include so many people. You're probably going to have to include one of those guys, but I personally wouldn't do it. So that's my Wild Thought Wednesday is something for those two, because that solves a lot of problems.
We're gonna call him Cody Del Trado.
Yeah, I would say that was maybe not a Wild Thought Wednesday. You did it on Tuesday. I would say that's more Trolling Tuesday. You were trolling some response. Hey, if you ever not following Cody on Twitter, there's an example of why
I
you
sent
should.
those tweets today.
Yeah, he had. So it was a Wild Thought Wednesday. I thought you
Wednesday.
did it late last night,
No,
which was
this was
Trolling Tuesday.
I was sending these tweets while I was on the bike this morning.
Well, maybe we'll have Dreamer Thursday tomorrow. A lot of people want to throw out their crazy ideas. Gary Ross says Bruce Levine reporting the Guardians want Horton plus another prospect just for Class A. Go pound sand.
Yeah, I'm not trading Horton for a closer.
No,
It wasn't very reliable at times last year. Yeah. I'll tell you what you can rely on at all times, and that is Game Time, Ryan.
Yeah, Game Time's great. I've used Game Time many times since they kind of came on with us, and like that includes going to an Eric Church concert down in Tinley Park. What's that? The Hollywood Amphitheater, whatever it's called.
That's the
great lawn. You want to go see a concert there? The lawn is the best.
Yeah. But I went down there, I think that was in August. And then, recently went to a show, a concert. And, I know a lot of people have used it. A lot of my friends have used it to go to a lot of Bulls games. Those Bulls. Look at Sarah's got, if you're not watching the YouTube, if you're on the podcast, our great producer Sarah has pulled up the prices for Bulls tickets, including Saturday. Is that Saturday the 20th? Bulls Grizzlies.
They still play, huh?
They still play games.
They still do, in fact, play basketball games.
But yeah, you get look at this view. Look at this view. Look at all the seats that are available for these amazing Bulls games, especially after that Ring of Honor ceremony.
Jerry Reinsdorf is applauding you so much right now, Ryan.
I don't think Thelma's coming back.
But if you're gonna go to that Bulls game, you should go to Game Time and get your tickets there. Shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. With killer last-minute deals, all-in prices, views from your seat, and their best price guarantee, Game Time takes the guesswork out of buying tickets. Some of the things I like about the Game Time app, it's got last-minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals. It's easy to find and buy tickets for every kind of event in your area. And you can actually get views from all the seats in the venue, so if you don't know exactly where that seat is going to be in whatever arena or ballpark or concert venue, whatever it is, you can actually get the view of whatever you need to look at when you go on the Game Time app. Game Time is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. All-in prices show your total upfront, so you know you're getting a great deal without hidden fees. Buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps. They're obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. Game Time has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event and even an hour after it starts. It's the place to find last-minute seats. Find exclusive flash deals and sponsored deals on tickets for football, basketball, baseball, concerts, comedy, theater, and more. With zone deals, you pick the section and Game Time picks the seats for an average of 18% savings. And the Game Time guarantee means you'll always get the best price. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed.
Peter in the live YouTube chat says Tim Anderson's next gig will be getting knocked out by Jake Paul.
And then Sarah screenshot it and sent it straight to the White Sox, like a Slack channel for our company.
Listen,
like Sarah out here trolling. Wow.
Tax returns will be coming in a little while. People hopefully get a nice fat tax return. Use some of that on Game Time. Use some of that maybe Circa Sportsbook, or maybe you want to get some new flooring. Maybe you're lucky and you're getting all 3. Right? Empire Today, you get to shop at-home convenience, the right product for your needs, quick and professional installation, and a low price guarantee. Now, they keep shopping for floors simple. Basically, what they do is they get rid of all the junk. They don't want you having bad stuff in your house, so they only give you the best products. And then they have the virtual floor designer, so you can see how those new floors, all you have to do is snap a picture and instantly see how those new floors might look in your room or space. Now, they pride themselves with that convenient shop-at-home service. They also service their own warranties, which is huge. If something does go wrong, you don't have to track down the manufacturer. Empire is going to take care of it themselves. Schedule a free in-home estimate today. All listeners can receive, wait for it, a $350 discount when they use the promo code CHGO. The 4 most important letters in the alphabet. Restrictions apply. See EmpireToday.com/CHGO for details.
Our buddy Brendan Miller at Brendan_Cubs 34 minutes ago tweeted, in 28 days, pitchers and catchers report. You'll blink and it'll be 21 days, then 14 days, then the guys will start showing up in Mesa, then 7 days, and then baseball will be back for the next 8 months.
Easy for him to say from California.
Yeah, very easy for him to say right now.
While he's having an egg white omelet in California with avocado toast, probably.
With that kind of hair, that's what he's definitely
doing.
He
keeps it with a nice sheen on it, the avocado toast, probably.
Yeah.
So time to pick up our Cubs conversations. Yesterday, we talked to Mike Talkman. We aired that one.
Talk.
Ryan and I had a chance to talk to Jordan Wicks, which was a lot of fun. Where he fits in this whole thing, I guess we're going to find out. He's certainly in the competition for that 5th starter spot, right?
Yep.
Let's see. Let's play part 1, Sarah, of our interview with Jordan Wicks. Then we'll talk about it, and we'll bring you part 2 here in just a little bit. Excited to have Cubs pitcher Jordan Wicks with us. And first of all, thank you for stopping by and talking to us. When you go through college and you're pitching and you get drafted and you're trying to develop yourself as a pitcher, what is the major league debut like? Because obviously we saw the results, we saw all the strikeouts, and it was historic. What is the experience like for you?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. The biggest thing for me was just I wanted to be able to have the people there that played, a huge impact in my life and getting there. And so we had a big group that came in, and I extremely appreciated them making that trip all the way. They made that moment even more special for me. Had tons of family coming in, so just being able to be around them and share it with a lot of the people that made such a huge impact on me was what made it like as special as it was. Obviously, getting to share that moment with the guys and the teammates, they were incredible. They made it worthwhile, and so just it was a dream come true.
And with that, like outside of like the whole month that you were up, outside of even just some individual success, just how do you feel like that month really benefited you at this point in your career?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, because I always wanted to, when I kind of like mapped out my career in a way, I kind of thought, okay, the spring of 24 is something where I want to come in and kind of compete for a job. That's kind of where I realistically thought, okay, this could be, because you think last year get up to AA, AAA, and then come into spring training this year, hopefully with a big league invite and, do all that stuff. But then getting to have that time up in the bigs already, it just gives you that comfort of, okay, this is what it's like. This is what works there. This is what doesn't work. And just being able to have that familiarity going into the off season shows you, okay, this is what I need to work on in the off season. This is what I was good at and need to build off of. And this is what I need to like kind of figure out.
And where actually did that, you mentioned how you thought maybe spring 24 was the realistic one. When did you first kind of get an indication like September 2023 might actually be realistic? And did that drive you even more throughout the season?
Yeah, I think it became realistic about like halfway through my time in AAA, because if you looked at like most of the time last year, I didn't think last year was realistic that much because you had a pitching staff that was pitching so well for the first 3/4 of the year, and everybody was staying healthy, which is awesome. That's really what that's obviously what you want out of the pitching staff, but then you run into injuries, which injuries do happen. It's part of the game. It's built in there. And so, whenever that happens, a lot of it's about, who's pitching the best at the right time. We had a couple injuries in Iowa. We had, a couple in the big leagues. And so, something that looked so far away when I first got to AAA all of a sudden was like, I might be the next guy up here. And so, just being able to have that, and it really just kind of motivated me those last couple outings to just keep going, just keep plugging away. And I just felt, really close.
Have you seen the movie Hoosiers?
Mm-hmm.
You know the scene where he's like, "Oh, look at the baskets, the same distance, the gyms, it's all the same." So what in your 7 starts did you say, "Okay, this is the same as when I pitched at K-State. This is the same as when I pitched in the minors." And what did you get back afterwards in the offseason look and go, "Well, I didn't expect that. That was different."
Yeah, so the big thing for me where I really kind of like settled in and realized that like it was the same game I'd been playing this whole entire time was about that first inning in Pittsburgh, toward the end of the first inning where we punched the side to get out of it. And we just, things weren't working real well to start, which was fine. And then we just started throwing changeups. We went back to the bread and butter and we just went back to what our strengths were. And, they gave me a lot of confidence, like, okay, we got this established. We got out of that inning. And now once we found that groove a little bit, we started to expand to other things, throwing the cutter, throwing the sinker, throwing the curveball, all this sort of stuff. So just being able to have that bread and butter to go back to was huge because it just allowed me to settle in, allowed me to get that comfort.
Yeah, and you're able to settle in and get comfortable, obviously, but was there anything you had to change quickly after that first start or at the first couple starts that you're like, maybe what was working in AAA may not be working as well in the majors? I got to adjust a little bit.
Yeah, I feel like we threw the cutter a little bit more in the bigs, and that was a lot of credit to Tommy and the catcher coming in and saying like, hey, I really think we can have a lot more success with this. And I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we really started to get an emphasis on that. And, I let the new year pass, not going back and watching anything. But once the new year came around, I started doing, going back and watching my outings, doing my film study from last year. I've been watching a lot of Cole Hamels film this offseason, a guy that throws, sinker, cutter, four seam like I do. Watch some Lester from when he would throw sinker, cutter, and four seam. A guy like Cliff Lee. I talked to Cliff Lee a lot in the offseason. He still lives back home. And so just being able to have those resources and just kind of almost expanding like my baseball knowledge and the study of the game was huge for me. Something I wanted to do before heading into spring training. And I think we've accomplished a lot of that.
Those are some pretty great names from Major League Baseball. Who on the current team, if anybody, do you kind of lean on for advice, whether it's in between starts or wherever?
Yeah, Kyle was big for me when I came up. He's such an outstanding guy, such an outstanding teammate. He told me, he said, I will help you any way you need. Like, you can ask me anything, don't worry about it. And so I always liked sitting next to guys like Kyle. J-Mo helped me a lot too, talking to him, and then obviously getting to Steely. And the biggest thing for me was I just loved getting to watch Steely go about and do his business, and really kind of come into his own last year, which was awesome to be there and just witness and be a part of it, which was great. And so I loved getting to do that. And so, yeah, just, getting to pick the brains of those guys and be around them, watch them do their day in and day out stuff was some of my favorite stuff.
A lot of people talking about how he looks out of uniform, right? Like, do I think he looks older than 24 in person? Yes, and I don't think he's the guy in the bar that you pick on, and, well, it would be a mistake. He's a big guy.
Yeah.
He is a big guy. It's the glasses, though. It's the glasses. It's the wild thing. It's the Arkansas accent.
Yeah.
It's all of it. I like him, and I like that he's willing to bug Kyle Hendricks. Bug's not the right word because Kyle Hendricks doesn't care, but reach out to Kyle Hendricks and kind of pick his brain over and over. And even guys like Cliff Lee, that's somebody I'd never even
Lester,
thought of about.
Yeah.
Cole Hamels, too.
Yeah, all good
Well,
guys.
and like Cliff Lee, he mentioned being able to talk to him all offseason.
Yeah.
It's both from Arkansas, so like that's a major resource, especially when I guess you consider like, oh, they're both lefties or whatever, but like a guy who had a lot of success, a sustained big league career, and Cliff Lee, and being able to pass that knowledge on to Jordan Wicks. And it's like, and we've talked about it in different ways, right? Just getting different. We've talked about it in different aspects of like the Cubs, but like just having different outside voices or different views or whatever, getting different set of eyes. So it's like, whereas Jordan Wicks has all this information he's gotten from the Cubs and his teammates and whoever else in the organization, now he can also go out and talk to someone like Cliff Lee, who's no involvement with the Cubs organization, just a guy who has a lot of knowledge of baseball, of pitching at the major league level, can watch Jordan Wicks' starts and give him clear, fresh advice that he may not be getting from the people in the Cubs organization. So I think all those reasons are huge for a guy like Jordan, who's obviously, was in the big leagues for a month, had a pretty solid month, but really is still kind of breaking his way into the big leagues.
I don't know if you guys talked to him about this, but he mentioned this in one of the panels. I want to say it was the pitching one, but he revealed in that panel that he was a kicker in college or in high school.
Well, he does look like he could play football. No question about it. Somebody in the chat said he looks, I think it was Alex, said something about a science teacher.
Yeah, there
it
is.
No, that 100%. All right, guys, let's get out your Bunsen burners, turn them on, and get the large beaker out, please. We're about to do
yeah. So I
Sure.
When he said that though at the convention in the panel, I was like thinking, man, imagine this guy on an NFL field with those glasses and being a kicker. I think he'd be one of the most popular kickers in the league.
He's got Clark Kent. He's got Wild Thing.
Yeah,
he's got all that.
He seems very like easy to root for. That's true.
Speaking of Hendricks is the guy who at Cubs convention said, sitting next to him, this could be the next Jon Lester, and he also said it, about Justin Steele too, which was a fan question. Do you think what do you think the ceiling is for Jordan Wicks? I think this year it's interesting because he could absolutely build off of what he did at the end of last season and be a great number 5 starter or number 4 starter for him, or He could be in a bullpen role. Maybe he turns into a bullpen role and Assad wins the job. I think the competition is going to be great at spring training.
I guess for me, I think the ceiling is number 3 in the rotation. Like that's the very peak, I think. I think he'll be a very valuable arm for the Cubs while under control. And if he doesn't play his entire career with the Cubs, he'll go off and be exactly what he's probably going to be with the Cubs, as in just a really good depth arm that will eat innings and just knows exactly how to go out there and give you quality outings. And like that's one of the reasons I think the Cubs took him in the draft, is because he was already pretty polished and you felt like you knew what you're going to get out of him. I think he could be a higher ceiling if maybe he could throw a little bit harder. But, I could be wrong. Maybe it's higher than that. But I think a fair ceiling to say right now after 1 month in the majors is, like a 3.
Well, I think that's having obviously seen him pitch in the big leagues and in the minor leagues a little bit, and then looking at different scouting reports and stuff, like I think middle of the road, like solid middle of the rotation is maybe in between ceiling and floor. I think his floor is very high because he doesn't it's like he's not a velocity guy, so that's not going to change with things. Like he's a very his location, he's a good locator. Obviously the changeup's good, 4-seam sinker, cutter. He's got a good mix of pitches, and I think it's all about the command and control that he has on the when he pitches. And I think a lot of scouts have seen that and think he may not overpower guys. He may never reach anything like ace level, but to expect a solid middle of the rotation arm is that could be the expectation for Jordan Wicks, just based on the potential a lot of people see in him. Again, it's obviously up to him to do that, but what he's shown at various levels and development and moving up the system, that's kind of where people are looking at. This guy could be a really good middle of the rotation guy for this team.
Highest draft pick ever out of K-State. We're going to have more with Jordan Wicks coming up in a second. Hey, are you guys in the market for a new vehicle here in 2024? If you are, we've got some great news for you. Our partner, Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram in Fox Lake, is starting their Ray Resolution with the start of something new sales event. And you know what that means. You'll be able to shop incredible savings on every new vehicle in stock because they want to clear out the lot to make room for those brand new 2024 vehicles. For a limited time, get up to $9,000 off on new Jeep models with their dealer discount. And that's not all. Shop their last call on remaining 2023 Dodge Challenger and Charger models, including Hellcat, Scat Packs, and more. Dodge is the most powerful muscle car brand, so you don't want to miss out on their last call. With over 20 Dodge muscle cars to choose from. At Ray's CDGR, you're always able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest inventories. Drive home with more money in your pocket than you'd ever expect thanks to the Ray Price Promise. Don't miss out. Shop great deals all month long and save big because Ray's CDGR makes buying a new vehicle more affordable than ever. Our fans can get a free oil change when you mention CHGO at the service center or mention CHGO when you book online at raycdgr.com/service. But you have to schedule that before the 31st of the month. If you're in the market for a new vehicle, then you have to check out the team at Ray, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram because they are the only team we recommend. Visit them today on Route 12 in Fox Lake. All right, part 2 with Jordan Wicks.
I thought that I was supposed to read an ad there.
No.
I was like, are we missing
That was
an ad?
also a pause for our podcast listeners, but that's another story.
I'm before we get to Jordan Wicks, I don't know. People were talking about Amir Garrett
Thank
and
you,
Javi
Luke.
Baez in the chat, and I'm like, why? But that's just the story about the YouTube chat.
Yeah.
It just goes off the rails sometimes.
It's just
That's right.
Sometimes we
That's the
don't
way it
check in
happens.
for a little bit, and then we look, and it's like, what's happening here?
Yeah.
All right, part 2 with Jordan Wicks. Ryan and I pick it up talking about how he found out the Cubs were switching from David Ross to Craig Counsell, which I think is an interesting response. So here you go.
Yeah.
Obviously the offseason started with a pretty shocking move. Craig Counsell getting hired. What were you doing? Where were you at? What was your reaction when you got that news?
Yeah, I was driving back from the gym, and I was in my truck and just pulled into the house, sat down on the couch, just started opening up Twitter, and you get stuck on Cubs Twitter, which in the off season is something where I'm like, I'm not really wanting to be on Cubs Twitter. It's the off season, and so I sit
Don't
here.
go there, Jordan.
But I mean, the Cubs Twitter was going nuts, and I'm like, well, something must have happened. And I look, and I saw it, and I went, oh my. And so it's funny because people always ask me, they're like, when did you know? And I'm like, I found out on Twitter like everybody else did.
I found
after everybody else. I was late to the party. People were texting me, and I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I look it up. I'm like, oh, that's what they're talking about. Okay. No, but it was a pretty surprising move. All the respect in the world to Rossi. I really enjoyed getting to play for him. He's the ultimate professional. He encouraged me a lot when I was up there, and I can't thank him enough for that. I'm excited for this next era with Craig. I'm excited to kind of see the differences because it'll be got about a month up there with Rossi, seeing how he does things. And so, I'll be interested in what the differences are. And I got to talk to him yesterday. Got to meet him, and he's an outstanding guy, and I'm excited for spring training.
Where's this team at? Where are you guys at in the climb to trying to being the next great Cubs team?
I think there's a lot of promise in this team. I think we've got a really interesting blend of some guys that are veteran guys. You talk about Happer. Nico's still super young, but he seems like a veteran guy. He's been around so long and just how he carries himself. You got Dansby, you got, Kyle, obviously. You got all these guys. And then you've also got the guys that are emerging, right? So like guys like last year that, performed like they never have. You talk about guys that have penned like ALLCITY, Merriweather, Leiter Jr., all these guys. And, there's a lot of young talent too. So I think it's very exciting. I think it'll be interesting at the beginning of the year, just kind of what, some of the battles look like, some of the positional battles. But I think, the camaraderie in the team, there's a lot of gelling. Like a lot of us get along really well. We were all really excited to get here and be together again. And so, I'm excited for the team. I think, the Bush and Almonte move is a really exciting, lot of potential type of move. And I'm really excited to get out to spring training and see what those guys can do.
And with, obviously the Shota Imanaga signing the other day, being someone that's, a candidate for a rotation spot in spring, injecting him into that mix. I don't know. What excites you about that? What do you think that could bring to you guys?
I'm excited to get to watch, another left-handed pitcher do his thing. And especially a guy that it's such an interesting move too, because I really don't know much about him because, you don't see much about him. So I'm excited to get to see him like pitch live, and what it looks like and how he does stuff. And because it's such like a cultural difference, in Japan, like I'm really interested like how different he does things just from like his day-to-day stuff. And so I'm really excited to see that. I thought it was a really good move, from the front office standpoint, bringing in a guy like that. I think it, gives a lot of edge to our, rotation. And I knew there was going to be a competition coming into spring training for the job. Like I knew I was going to have to compete for it. I'm not the one who's going to sit here and feel like, I'm entitled to anything, because you're not. It's a competition, and I love that. It's an iron sharpens iron type of deal, and it's the best thing for our ball club.
I love that because I feel like we've heard for years that pitching is where this next wave, not that there aren't great position players coming too, but there's a lot of pitching in the pipeline coming up. And do you feel like even going back to minor league time that you guys have kind of pushed each other in that way, but in a good way?
Oh, absolutely. I thought we've, I've been a part of some really good staffs coming up, and we've added some good pieces too. So, just being able to have that depth, and you've also, I think, got an interesting, swing of guys to where like they could start, they also could pitch out of the bullpen. You know what I mean? So it's like, it gives you some flexibility there with the staff. And I think, one of the most interesting things I think is going to be this season is, or at least that I saw down the stretch was Nesky out of the bullpen. I mean, the guy was bumping 98 in Atlanta at the end of the year, and I'm like, holy cow! I'm like, this guy's going to be pitching in the 8th inning if he ain't starting. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just, I love getting to see him kind of gain that confidence out of the pen because I know it was an adjustment for him. Like I talk to him all the time. He's one of my good buddies, and so I feel like down the stretch last year, he really kind of, I don't want to say figured it out because that's such a cliche term, but I mean, like he kind of did, he got into like almost like his relieving groove a little bit. And I got to see him do that. And I thought it was really cool.
And, let's talk about the future, but fans want to know now, 2024, what's happening. When you look at this team, when you look at the guys in that clubhouse, guys that may be coming in, what should fans expect from the Chicago Cubs in 2024?
Yeah, I think it's a team with a lot of energy, a lot of camaraderie, and I think we're really one or two moves away from really being a special team. You hear Jed and them talk about it all weekend. They want to add some bats. And I'm a pitcher. I don't know enough about that to really make that much of a difference. I can tell you, offense is never a bad thing. Excuse me. But yeah, I think adding a bat like that, like a belly or something like that would be awesome.
Do you still wish you could hit? Do you wish that DH,
No.
or do you like the DH?
I love the DH. I do not want to get in the box. I watch these dudes start throwing 95, 98, and I'm like, yeah, no, I'm good.
You're good being on the other side
Yeah,
of that.
I'll sit in the dugout. I'm fine.
What do you like to do in your off season when you're not working out, going to the gym, and getting those things done? What do you like to do when you're just being you?
Yeah, I play a lot of video games when I'm home, online with some of my friends and stuff like that. We'll host like little poker nights at the house where it's just me and my buddies, because I love doing that because we can all sit down, all talk, have some fun. We normally do it, watching Thursday night football or something like that. Just anything I can do with some of my friends back home and just hang out and just be around the guys is something I love to do.
And now it's officially back to business, or in a couple weeks.
It is. I know. I'm excited.
We are too. Thanks for coming by. We appreciate it. Hopefully we do this. Maybe do this during the season. What do you think?
Yeah, every
Stop
year.
by, talk?
Just let me know.
All right.
Let me know whenever.
Thanks, Jordan.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
I would like to talk to him during the season. He's, like I said at the beginning, everybody we talked to there was a good guy, open to conversation. None of it was, it never felt like they didn't want to be there. You always want anybody you're talking to be an engaged conversation, and he absolutely was. I like the stuff of what he said about Wesneski. I know he said it's one of his buddies, but I think some people kind of forget about Wesneski a little bit, and
Even I have.
Just because some of those struggles he had last year, right? But I think
he's a young guy.
Yeah, he's still definitely in that rotation mix, right? Like I think one of the things that really hurt him was not being able to get lefties out consistently.
For sure.
And if he can figure out, because Adbert figured out that was his issue, then he really figured that out. If Wesneski can figure that out and do that consistently, he could be right back into that rotation mix. I think that would be absolutely huge for him.
Yeah, I mean, my thing with Jordan Wicks is this feels like one of the first times you got to see a little bit of personality come out from him. You didn't really know a lot about him, right? Like, you kind of get the gist of what kind of guy he is, and to me, he's going to be easy to root for. So
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the white jacket, what a bold choice after, Labor Day.
Yeah.
He comes rolling up during a blizzard and is like, look at me in my white jacket.
Yeah.
You one of
Not
those
afraid.
people?
He's a trendsetter.
You're one of those people can't wear white after
Nah, I
Labor
don't
Day?
care. Look at
Yeah, I mean,
Wicks and I are understated. I got a little Travis Matthew logo on my hat. Alex thinks it's a plain hat. No. This is understated class right here. It's understated class.
I do love the Craig Counsell thing, where he was and like
He found
finding
out
out
on
on
Cubs
Twitter
Twitter.
after everyone else. But it's so funny because like pretty much everyone we asked while we were there kind of had a similar response. Like Justin Steele was in Arizona working out with a trainer, and the trainer got like an email with the details about it and then showed it to Steele. Like every player that was asked, like whether it was like when me or Jared were talking, or like even in some of those scrums, like it was all kind of like I was working out, I was driving home from the gym, I was just getting to the gym, like, and I saw on Twitter or whatever. Like no one had any like pre-notion that anything was happening. So it's kind of funny that while we were very freaking shocked, I mean, we can remember our reactions in this office of like, what the hell is going on? I'm sure the players were even more shocked.
Carter Hawkins' job was to call a few select players before the news got out, right? Like Jed was on the plane breaking the news to Ross, and Carter Hawkins was calling a few players, I'm guessing Dansby and Nico and some of the other players, and just saying, this is going down. One other thing I love is the fact that he admits he's on Cubs Twitter. There's so many athletes, I stay off Twitter. I don't read it. It's all a distraction. He's like, no, I was driving in my truck, just read some Twitter.
You kind of get
I was
stuck
like, no
on
way.
Cubs Twitter.
It's just
It kind of goes
very
back to
true.
the fact of like, I read comments on our mentions about whatever player, and it's just like, bro, like that person might see that. Like, would you say that to their face? Like,
Right.
it's like I understand when things are going bad, like
being
fans get
frustrated.
frustrated and all that.
And
but
criticism is warranted in that
yes,
sense. Like
criticism
real
is warranted.
criticism.
But some people say some of the dumbest shit that, like,
nastiest things.
honestly, like, just put yourself in their shoes. I understand they make so much more money than all of us can ever dream of, but at the same time, it's like they're also human. They're not robots.
That's right.
So I always try to emphasize that just a little bit because, you know, at the end of the day, it is just a game, right?
Yeah.
So I know the people who are like that aren't going to care what the hell I have to say about it, but that is something. Because, again, we know there are players who are on Twitter and aren't on Twitter, and it's, you know, it's a league where, you know, results matter. But at the same time, like, man, if people were saying some of the shit they said in our mentions after a loss or whatever, like,
Whether it's a comment board somewhere or after, you know, a video or whatever it is, generally, yeah, I would say if you're not willing to say something to somebody's face, don't say it at all.
Yeah.
But you go ahead and do it how you want to do it. I
But-
would say in
Like-
general, as a
like-
society,
like-
we might want to go that way.
Like building on that, Alex LaFuente saying I look 5'3" and 132 pounds.
That's right.
You've quickly fallen down my chat rankings, Alex.
oh.
That's gonna
He's now like a
cost you a
3-star.
star. Yeah,
He's
there
like a
goes your
3-star.
5-star.
Maybe going down to
Ryan
2.
gets a vote.
Quickly
Yeah.
falling down to 2.
Right. So, and to, I guess, close on what I was saying is I think athletes, they already are more open to fans and stuff on social media than they ever have been whenever I was a kid, or definitely when Luke was a kid, because social media wasn't a thing.
Media
But-
wasn't a
See,
thing.
now that was a shot that
But-
wasn't necessary.
Media
prob-
wasn't a thing yet.
They probably would be a lot more active with fans on the internet if people just weren't assholes on the internet. But again, when you have a keyboard and a screen in front of you and you can say whatever you want, people are going to do that. So I'm just, again, Jordan Wicks, I'm excited to see what he can do. I don't know what the role will be. I still think the Cubs are going to go get another starting pitcher, and he can become that long relief guy that, you know, which adds a left-handed pitcher to their bullpen, maybe get some spot starts, see what he can do for his first full year in the majors, maybe inserts himself into the rotation in years to come. That's what I think is going to happen. But if not, I think he's definitely in play for that fifth spot in the rotation.
I agree. And
For sure.
Big thanks to Jordan Wicks for being our guest. We appreciate his time. He's very generous with it. Very nice guy. Thank you to everybody who enjoyed and watched the show, hopefully today. Enjoy the CHGO experience. Best way to join us, get on that live YouTube chat. Say whatever you want, as long as you're somewhat nice. Subscribe to the CHGO Sports YouTube page.
We even
And
let
sometimes
Omar
just
come
say
in here
crazy
and
stuff.
say whatever he says, man. We
That's
let
right.
you come in and say whatever you
Be
want,
nice
even
to
though we
each
don't
other.
agree
It's
with
okay.
it. But we let you say whatever you want. Credit to us.
We'll be back at 1:30 live tomorrow. Corey Friedman, I believe, is going to join us for that conversation, where we might be Dreamer Thursday. Who knows? We'll come up with something. Maybe it's the day that
Maybe it should
Cody
just-
Bellinger signs.
Maybe we should just continue to call it like Thirsty Thursday. Who we thirsty for?
Thirsty Thursday.
Yeah.
Is that what it's? That was
Sit around with a bunch of 3-1-2s. Okay. Anyways, we'll deal with that tomorrow. Thanks for checking out the show. See you tomorrow at 1:30. Until then, thanks for watching and fly the W.
We all silly like the mayor.